So if you spent any time in the Tokusatsu fandom, you've probably seen this guy. Or someone who passes a vague resemblance to him. Big Daddy G and his foes are pretty well known in the fandom and outside of the fandom as a whole. Godzilla has had many big budget films released globally over the last 10 years, which reignited a love for the kaiju genre. But Godzilla isn't the only one who's held a spotlight in the Daikaiju genre, so let's talk about it. Now, this isn't going to be an exhaustive deep dive. This is going to be more like a highlight reel of some of the more notable films that shaped the Daikaiju genre. Personally, I thought the lighting looked bad in here today, so let's take it outside. We're about to get an Amazon driver on video. All right, so Kaiju, or Daikaiju, is a genre of film that obviously pertains to giant monsters. What can apply under that blanket term? Honestly, it could be anything that involves giant monsters, but that could cause some issues like, oh, this isn't from Japan. That's not from Japan. Well, I say, fuck you. It's giant monsters all around, because it expands to like cinemas beyond Japan and the world over. There's a... How's it going? Hi. You got a package for me? You. Thank you. Oh, welcome. Thank you. You too. Let's do it. What do you think of that purpose?
You think you could get the Amazon guy to come back and do everything for you?
No.
Early Kaiju. The earliest giant monster movie that has survived to our present day is widely claimed to be the 1921 film Dreams of the Rarebit Fiend. More specifically, the segment entitled The Pet. This animated short based on a comic strip sets the plot and themes of giant monster movies that would follow it. In this short, a couple adopts an animal which begins to ravage their home, eating almost everything. The creature grows as it feeds and begins to roam through a city, where it is attacked by zeppelins and planes. It's blown up spectacularly, and the short ends with the couple once again in bed.
Watching this back now, after, I don't know, say 100 years later, it's pretty scary how a lot of modern kaiju films stick to this basic plot structure. And honestly, I think even though this film isn't live action, it's a prime example of like how great of a kaiju film this really is. So throughout the 1920s, new forms of animation were being adopted. One of those was stop motion, which actually has been used in film since the 1870s.
Animator Willis O'Brien is widely regarded as a pioneer of the medium and a key influencer of all the films we will discuss from this point on. O'Brien would take the lead of animating the prehistoric creatures of the 1925 film The Lost World, based on the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle novel directed by Harry O. Hoyt. The Lost World follows an expedition that travels to the borders of Peru, finding proof of living dinosaurs. They document, capture evidence, and get attacked by these beasts.
So this film, it's a classic for a reason, and don't let the fact that it's a silent black and white film scare you.
King Kong, 1933.
So this is the quintessential King Kong film. There's a reason why other remakes, you know, they kind of crash and burn and fail, but not you, Peter Jackson. We love you.
King Kong is ingrained in pop culture, so I don't think I need to go too deep into its story. The Venture Expedition set off to film a movie on a lost mythical island. However, things go awry as the local indigenous population offer up the leading lady to their god, Kong. From there, the crew sets out to rescue her, while getting picked off by the inhabitants of Skull Island. Kong is captured and brought to America after the destruction of the film reels, where he's paraded as the 8th wonder of the world. It obviously backfires. Kong escapes, grabbing his bestie in the process, and is chased up the Empire State Building. Kong gets shot, falls off, Beauty didn't kill Beast, the end. Kong is a visual spectacle and an amazing adventure film. It stretched its budget while delivering a film that has every right to be as iconic as it is. Marion C. Cooper and the entire crew of Kong were passionate and creative, doing as much as they could to create a film that is still beautiful today. The techniques in bringing the world of Skull Island to life is also technically impressive. O'Brien and his team worked tirelessly for close to a year to animate hundreds, if not thousands, of shots of animation that you can easily forget is not real. Even the minor imperfections in their work, such as fingerprints on the Kong model's fur, do not stand out, but make the world feel alive. Oh yeah, did I mention people talk in movies now?
I've got a conscience, Dennis. I can't send a young, pretty girl such as you ask on a job like this without telling her what to expect.
And what is she to expect?
Go off on a trip for no one knows how long, to some spot you don't even hint at.
Good Lord, you talk as if I never brought anybody back alive.
Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms has been super influential within the giant monster genre, arguably as much as Kong has been. Fathoms follows the escapades of a group of scientists and researchers who find a giant dinosaur in the Arctic after we drop a nuke on it! Yeah! Fathoms is animated by Ray Harryhausen, a name as important as O'Brien in the stop-motion animation genre. This film is iconic and a classic.
All right, I know. I keep saying that about every movie on this list, but come on, there's the fucking dinosaur fellow rampaging throughout. It's just fucking cool. All right, it's so goddamn nice. This and Kong would obviously provide inspiration to a little-known film we like to call Godzilla.
Both have reptilian beasts attack major metropolitan regions, and in the pre-production of Goji, the lighthouse scene was going to be copied beat for beat.
It's cool.
Gojira.
So Godzilla, or Gojira, is a world-renowned franchise that spans over 30 films and TV series and has made billions. Seriously, do I really have to fucking explain what this is? You know what it is. Your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your uncle, your grandma, your uncle, grandpa, they all know what it is. I don't gotta explain this shit to you. You fucking know what I'm talking about. It's him. It's the big G. Come on. Well, you stupid or something?
Godzilla began as an allegory for nukes, then patterned out into a monster versus series during the latter Showa era. Godzilla's films are different and varied from each installment. One movie, you have him the allegory for literal destruction, and then the next film, he's not even fucking real.
All right, I'm not going to talk about 54, not because I'm trying to dodge it. Well, no, I am trying to dodge it, but truth be told, Furbus and I have got a meaty fucking video that we're working on right now. But with that being said,
Godzilla Final Wars from 2004 is the greatest fucking film ever known to man! Take everything left from me! All to blame!
Oh, fuck you! I'm gonna fuck you! Take left from me! Oh, to blame! Gojira. It's my nemesis, but I don't know that yet, because this is better than sex.
Us Americans have taken numerous cracks at the franchise, starting with the 1956 King of the Monsters. More about that film will be discussed again in that big video. In 1998, shit-ass fucking piss-man Independence Day dude made a remake that is less like Godzilla and more like a Fathoms remake. Them! Aw, they're non-binary. Giant ants attack terrorizing America. I hate these! They're so creepy! No more talking about it! No more editing! Ah! The amazing Colossal Man.
This movie, I'll be honest, it's not super influential in the film genre, but it is one of the first films of the 50s in the giant man genre. Sure, there are other films in the 50s that basically do the whole giant person terrorizes the fucking world or whatever. They honestly, a lot of them are pretty much the same, but this one in particular is a pretty notable example in the giant man genre.
Fathoms is a dinosaur in modern times film. King Kong is a big monkey film, and them is ants. What I'm trying to say is that it seems every type of animal has had its own distinct series of giant monster films. Colossal Man is the highlight of a new genre, where it isn't a beast who is huge, but instead humankind ourselves. A military man is exposed to a plutonium bomb and suffers the consequences, which means he just keeps on growing. This is a genre that strangely keeps popping up. Ultraman has had an episode with it, and Shin Ultraman does too. Even kids' films like Monsters vs. Aliens has giganticism, but I feel icky talking about it because, like all things in life, DeviantArt has ruined it with fetish art. Gorgo! Gorgo. More like Gorgonzola! Gorgo is a British film which deals with the emergence of a giant sea creature who comes loose in a big city and brings chaos and destruction. What sets this film apart from something like Fathoms or Godzilla? Mommy Gorgo emerges, and London is fucked. Also, Ireland is there too, I guess. It's more of the same from the genre, but is one of many examples of the worldwide nature of these films. Despite coming out in '61, Gorgo is still kicking in the fandom, with these big old collector statues being released. Paul Gasari. Right. So this is a North Korean film. Gasari would adapt and act as a loose remake of the 1962 South Korean film Gasari. Gasari is set in Korea under the Goryeo dynasty in the 900s and follows the daughter of a sculptor named Ami, who, after pricking her finger and dropping blood onto a small dragon statue created by her father in prison, unleashed the beast known as Gasari. Gasari, who is born from the sculpture, starts off small and with a big appetite for metal, which it consumes and grows in size. Gasari's metal-eating ability proves useful as the villagers of the small region sacrifice their pots, pans, and other metal goods to help Gasari grow. This proves successful, and the villagers rejoice. However, Gasari turns on them and starts eating the village. To quench its rampage, Ami tricks Gasari into eating her, which causes Gasari to return to its form as a small figure. Gasari was a success, showing continuously at capacity for days at a time. It wasn't like anything the people of North Korea had seen before. This film is perhaps then the greatest example of North Korean propaganda working in an opposite way than reflects. Is almost here, and Top Gun Maverick is gonna kick it off. It's okay, I guess. Gamra.
Hirohito Gamra, Hirohito Gamra, Hirohito Gamra.
Gamra is something everyone has seen or heard of at least once. Here's Gamra, a big turtle man. Sometimes he fights monsters, sometimes he is a monsters, and all the time he is a gamer. These films are kind of goofy for their low-budget, gradual use of more and more stock footage, and out there monsters. It is a great franchise, though. There's a reason he's iconic. Much like Godzilla, the OG Gamera film is a tale of a giant beast causing devastation and retribution for the childishness and flamboyant misuse of the world's resources, nuclear energy, and eating turtles. However, in its sequel, Gamera was pinned against his ancient foe, the Gyaos. Just kidding, fuckos, it's Barugan! The Heisei era is widely regarded as the peak of the franchise, and that's not wrong. The final Gamera film release was Gamera the Brave in 2006. The movie is unfairly shit on a lot, and that makes me rather sad. It's a solid flick with great action and a good child character. Also, look at this little turtle dude, it's so cute.
Gamera, what weed are you smoking?
Ultraman. Ultraman! Okay, so you may be thinking, hey, wait a second, that's a TV show, you hack fraud, and you'd be right. Ultraman graced Japanese TVs in 1966 as a series following the conclusion of Ultra Q. However, that never stopped the series from hitting the cinema. In 1967, after the conclusion of the show, Ultraman Monster Movie feature was released, and it was a clip show. Yep, it was a blown-up clip show print that hit theaters, making a couple $100 million yen, and giving a chance to see Ultraman in color. In the 60s, color TV sets were expensive and rare. Not every house had one, so series like Ultraman would be broadcast in black and white still. For many kids, this was their first chance to see these episodes and classic moments in color. So while it may be a weird and funky edited mess, it still holds merit in that. Also, the Ultra series can technically be considered a part of this huge kaiju boom. Tsuburaya's goal was to bring movie-quality effects to the small screen, and their team did just that. While it has aged over the last 50 years, Ultraman holds strong as an exciting and fun visual spectacle. Ghostbusters! Yet another American classic. Ghostbusters! It's an example of kaiju appearing in a film as the climax while not really being what the movie is about. During their final confrontation with hot, sexy, Hatawuga dominatrix, one of the Ghostbusters, Ray, Mr. Crystalhead Vodka Man Dan Aykroyd.
I'm Dan Aykroyd. This is an accurate glass rendering of a human skull. Perfect as a lone shot.
Thinks of giant Marshmallow Man. Marshmallow Man pops up, does some shit, gets marketed as a Funko Pop, and all is right with the world. America loved this movie, so they doubled down in the sequel. Tremors. Tremors isn't a traditional kaiju movie, and that's what makes it amazing. The first film opens in Perfection Valley, Las Vegas, and follows a small town who face a barrage of attacks from large underground worm-like creatures called graboids. From there, it kind of just spiraled. While the first film is always regarded as that worm movie with Kevin Bacon, and he is one of the main leads of that film, the series is really just centered around the toughest motherfucker ever born, Burt Gummer. After Tremors 2, this series embraces Burt as its hero, and damn does he deliver. We've got Burt hunting graboids, we've got Burt hunting ass blasters, we've got Burt in the distant past of the Wild West hunting, you guessed it, graboids.
I feel I was denied critical, need-to-know information.
This series has garnered a cult following through its 7-movie span and even a TV show. The monsters of this series are treated as an ancient species that have a strangely cyclical reproduction cycle.
The graboid is a vicious subterranean predator about 30 feet in length. If that weren't enough, graboids give birth to 3 ugly spawn we call shriekers. These in turn give rise to the ass blasters. Ass blasters carry eggs that hatch and become new graboids, beginning this hellish cycle anew.
All right, so am I cheating by putting Tremors on this list? Yeah, I'd argue yes. But on the other hand, fuck you. It's my list. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Jurassic Park.
Guess what, guys? Dinosaur adventure films are back. They kind of shitted out in the 40s and 50s because people kind of stopped caring, and then people really stopped caring once we discovered what sci-fi was in the 60s. That was a crazy time. I remember I was in fact there. But after that point, they kind of just like sat there and they didn't really like do anything. That is until Jurassic Park, which kind of like came onto the scene. It's like, no, this is how you do fucking dinosaurs. This is dinosaurs. Jurassic Park needs no introduction. But I'm gonna give one anyway.
It follows a cast of people trapped in the titular Jurassic Park after a monsoon, and some sabotage knocks power out of the park. It's a thrilling film that shows just how good 90s CGI could be, with some amazing suspenseful scenes. While, again, not being as tall as something like Godzilla, these dino dudes are pretty big, and a nice return to a genre that time had almost forgotten. From here on, you'll notice how CGI becomes the dominant form of animation for the creatures in these big monster movies. One reason is cost. Traditional miniature filming is time-consuming, hard work, and expensive. However, as computers and software got better throughout the 90s, more and more films turned to it with varying results. The Water Horse, Legend of the what the fuck?
Seriously, Furbus? On a list of the most influential kaiju films to date, you put the fucking Water Horse? I'm not fucking talking about it. I'm not fucking talking about the Loch Ness movie. Go fucking move on. I'm not wasting my time on this shit.
Pacific Rim. Directed by Guillermo del Toro and based on a true story, Pacific Rim shows a world where monsters emerge from the titular Pacific Rim from another dimension, and the only thing in their way is a squad of super cool fighting giant robots. That's right. We got a badass mecha versus kaiju film that really shows the heart of what makes both of these genres so interesting. The Jaegers are complex and feel real. The characters are grounded and sympathetic. Then the action. Oh, sweet Jesus, that action. The action feels real. You can see the pavement crack as objects rumble as the Jaegers move through the city to defeat the kaiju. It's a shame that this hit classic never got any follow-up content at all. Not a single fucking thing. Nah. Del Toro's a longtime fan of the mecha genre and tokusatsu heroes such as Ultraman, so of course he would deliver a spectacle. While other projects involving giant monsters had proved that audiences still care about the genre, it was this that really got people hyped for more big-budget Hollywood blockbusters. They wouldn't have to wait long, as the following year, Godzilla 2014 was released, starting the Monsterverse. The Great Buddha Arrival. Released by the independent Japanese studio 3Wise, a sorta kinda remake of a long-lost 1934 film with the same title. The plot of the film is interesting, and it really is something you have to watch for yourself to believe. The Great Buddha Arrival deals with the mysterious aftermath of an incident in which a giant monolithic Buddha statue appeared in 1932. In this reality, the lost film was supposedly based on true events, which began to occur again in a very low-budget way. The Buddha is here, and it isn't leaving anytime soon. It is a weird plot, but it's filled with charm. The idea of taking a lost film and saying that it is lost because of the supernatural abilities of this monolithic and possibly divine being. This is a low-budget, crowd-funded kaiju film that has garnered an audience through its use of kaiju veterans, but hooked many through its strangely charming story. Go give it a watch. Nedza. Like The Great Buddha Arrival, Nedza 1964 was a crowd-funded biopic that documents the production of the canceled Daiei film Nedza. The story goes like this. The film underwent production with a cast and sets and plan. However, Nedza, the beast of the story, would be a giant rat made out of a swarm of brown rats.
Did you do this? Was this you? Were you there?
This gave the reasoning to call the movie Giant Horde Beast, but while filming, the rats kept getting out and health concerns came up. Spoilers, the movie was canceled, but decades later, this production story and the film itself would somewhat come to exist. It's low budget, but had a higher budget than Buddha. With experience under their belt, 3Y really showed how good of a film they could make with this. It's not a high-budget monster destroying the city type of film, but it's a nice character study.
Well, there we have it, folks. That brings us to the present. Well, mid to late 2023 to be more specific, with a lot of new IPs coming out of the gate and return to classic series alike, such as
2016 Shin Godzilla won national awards, and the MonsterVerse, while having some rough moments, is still kicking. We're getting a whole series on Apple TV about that world, along with a sequel to the worst movie in the Godzilla franchise. So that's nice, I guess. Gamra returned after over 15-year hiatus with Gamra Rebirth, a 3D animated series on Netflix. We saw the Gundam fight Mechagodzilla and a return of giant worms in Dune. Oh, I love me Dune. Even superhero movies are taking a piece of the kaiju pie, with 2021's The Suicide Squad featuring Starro the Conqueror and the newest Ninja Turtle movies leaning into the genre. Even countries like Norway have gotten some action recently with 2022's Troll. And Ultraman is still kicking, with Shin Ultraman being released a huge success and a global expansion of the IP coming to the West. Godzilla is getting a brand new Japanese film called Godzilla -1. Even the dinosaur films are going strong with two amazing fucking bullshit boring ass movies in Jurassic World Dominion and Adam Driver's 65. Maybe that genre just needs to stick to the David Attenborough documentaries.
This is to say that the kaiju film genre is still going strong with a ton of new content coming out. It's honestly a good time to be a kaiju nerd. I'm Dawnbreaker, and I drank curdled milk before recording this video. Netsura chun chun, Netsura chun chun, Netsura da yo.